In 1933, English author James Hilton wrote a book entitled Lost Horizon. It's a story about a plane crash in the Tibetan Himalayas. The four survivors find sanctuary in a Buddhist monastery and discover a very different world, a Tibetan utopia, a place where people live in perfect harmony and never age. Set amongst magnificent scenery, it's a place of learning and profound inner peace. To describe this nirvana, this paradise on earth, Hilton coined the phrase Shangri-La. And since then, the term Shangri-La has become synonymous with the idea of an earthly paradise. Zongjian was a remote Tibetan village, 3,100 meters above sea level. Its main industry was logging, which represented 80% of its income. In 1998, there was severe flooding in China due to erosion along the Yangtze River. To prevent further flooding, the government banned all deforestation. In desperation, Zongjian turned to tourism to survive. Then, the old town comprised mainly of traditional wooden dwellings and shops. There was no electricity and no running water. They set about building a new old town, retaining the external characteristics of old China, but adding a large dollop of Tibetan mythology. They succeeded in transforming a dusty ghost town into a bustling tourist attraction. An airport was built, and a new road from Lijiang, the nearest big town, which reduced the journey to just 4 hours. And then, in a stroke of true marketing genius, the area was renamed Shangri-La in 2001, after Hilton's notion. They decided to make it a showcase for Tibetan culture. Their timing couldn't have been better. Chinese domestic tourism had started to grow, and by 2001, tourism was bringing in more money than logging did at its peak. In 2005, they built the biggest Buddhist prayer wheel in the world and continued to expand the town. And then disaster struck. In January 2014, a Miss Cheng was staying at the Ruyi guest house. She went out to visit a friend and left an electric cooker too near the curtains. The ensuing fire, fanned by strong winds, engulfed the town. Over 240 wooden houses and shops were destroyed in the 1,000-year-old town. 2,600 people were left homeless, but remarkably no one perished. By the end of that year, rebuilding had started with a vengeance. New buildings in town were adorned with pseudo-Tibetan flourishes. They decreed that all shop signs had to be in Tibetan as well as Chinese. Many of these signs turned out quite funny. For example, a beauty shop misspelled the word beauty in its name, instead using the Tibetan character for leprosy. And a restaurant sign, "Eat yak here," translated as "Yak eats you here." Shop after shop peddled tourist trinkets and fake tiger pelts, fluffy yaks, prayer beads and ceremonial daggers. Where mud houses once stood, cheesy art galleries, restaurants, hostels, and even a cupcake shop now stand in the old town. Signs tout yak burgers and Tibetan clothes for rent. The Sunzan Ling Monastery, built in 1679, dominates the skyline. It was badly damaged during the Cultural Revolution and was subsequently rebuilt. It now houses over 600 monks. The monastery is now one of the major tourist attractions here. this the stairway to heaven or the path to enlightenment, I wonder? Anyway, while the scenery here is nice, it's not spectacular. Electricity pylons mar the landscape as they move towards modernity. The new town boasts many interesting buildings, not least of which is the cultural centre. After years of repression, local Tibetans are finally encouraged to revel in their culture and religion. The ubiquitous Mao is here also. There's a new hospital and a new university. And in a very interesting tribute to Hilton, they built a park immortalising the story of Lost Horizon, complete with a crashed plane. So does this place fit with James Hilton's dream? Well, now that paradise has been found, it's been overrun. In the year before the name change, Zhangyan had 20,000 visitors. Last year, the number surged to over 3 million. It's become a sort of a mini theme park with the Tibetan flourish. Well, what's the verdict? I think Shangri-La is best filed under M for the mythology of Tibet, on the shelf between levitating monks and yetis.